Dragon Endeavour returns from the ISS. Astronauts Doug Hurley and Bob Behnken have now returned safely to Earth after a 62-day stay aboard the ISS. The Crew Dragon Endeavour capsule splashed down near Pensacola, just off the western coast of Florida at 2:48 p.m. EDT on Sunday, August 2nd, after a 19-hour trip from the ISS. Landing Dragon. To backtrack a bit, Dragon Endeavour undocked from the ISS at 7:30 p.m. EDT on August 1st. After undocking, the spacecraft performed an initial departure burn, which allowed it to move away from the ISS. The initial departure burn was followed by a series of phasing burns or orbit-lowering maneuvers that aligned the ground track with the splashdown location. At around 1:51 p.m. EDT, Dragon's trunk was jettisoned, and a few minutes later at 1:59 p.m., an 11-minute and 22-second deorbit burn was performed using Dragon's 4 bulkhead thrusters. Upon departure from the ISS, the 21,000-pound Dragon capsule orbits the Earth at about 17,500 miles per hour, the same orbital velocity as the ISS. The maximum temperature on re-entry gets up to about 3,500 degrees Fahrenheit. According to SpaceX, the temperature inside the capsule never exceeds 85 degrees Fahrenheit. At approximately 18,000 feet, Dragon's 2 drogue parachutes deployed. At this point, Dragon was traveling at about 350 miles per hour. At around 6,000 feet, Dragon's 4 main parachutes were deployed, further decelerating the spacecraft. At this point, Dragon was now traveling at about 119 miles per hour. The spacecraft further decelerated until it splashed down at about 15 miles per hour. Recovery. After splashdown, Dragon was secured by 2 fast boats, and about 30 minutes later was hydraulically lifted from the water by the vessel Go Navigator. Of particular note and perhaps concern were the sheer number of additional onlooking vessels in the area. Cosmonaut Evan Wagner managed to capture some photos of the splashdown site during a pass of the station over the area, which revealed the extent of observers on the water. The issue was addressed by NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine and SpaceX COO Gwen Shotwell at the Post-Splashdown news conference. They both noted that SpaceX and NASA would deploy more assets in the future, as well as seek additional aid from the Coast Guard in the future to secure the splashdown sites. The first splashdown in US waters in over 45 years. The last splashdown was the landing of the ASTP Apollo command module on July 24, 1975, for the Apollo-Soyuz test project. The Apollo-Soyuz test project was the first international space mission and the first joint mission carried out by the United States and the Soviet Union. Once on board Go Navigator, there was a minor delay experienced with the opening of the hatch. This was due to the elevated levels of nitrogen dioxide near the side of the hatch. The team on board Go Navigator managed to purge the service section, dropping the levels to a point where it was eventually safe enough to open the side hatch. Hatch opening occurred at 3:59 p.m. EDT. A new era in spaceflight. Bob and Doug arrived at Ellington Air Force Base in Houston at around 7:27 p.m. EDT, about 5 hours after being pulled from the water. Elon, who was at SpaceX's headquarters in Hawthorne, California at the time of splashdown, also made his way to Houston to greet Bob and Doug. At this point in the day, astronauts Bob Behnken and Doug Hurley, Director of NASA Johnson Space Center Mark Geier, NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine, and CEO and Chief Designer of SpaceX Elon Musk issued a few notes of thanks, congratulations, and some inspiring statements. Elon seemed particularly fired up, and his words pretty much captured the entire sentiment of the day.
I do think what this heralds really is fundamentally a new era in spaceflight, a new era in space exploration. We're going to go to the moon. We're going to have a base on the moon. We're going to send people to Mars, and make life multiplanetary. And I think this day heralds a new age of space exploration. That's what it's all about.
With DEMO-2 now successfully completed and human spaceflight capabilities on US spacecraft now returned to the US, there's a lot that NASA has planned for the future. Next up, Crew 1. The launch of Crew 1, the first operational flight of SpaceX's Crew Dragon, is currently targeted for no earlier than late September. The launch is expected to occur from LC-39A at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. Crew 1 is scheduled to be a long-duration mission lasting 6 months. The booster supporting the mission, booster B1061, has already arrived at the Cape. Following Crew 1, Crew 2. NASA revealed the crew members on Tuesday, July 28th. The crew members are NASA astronauts Megan McArthur and Shane Kimbrough, Aki Hoshide of JAXA, and Thomas Pesquet of ESA. According to a statement released by NASA, astronauts Shane Kimbrough and Megan McArthur will serve as spacecraft commander and pilot respectively for the mission, while Akihiko Hoshide and Thomas Pesquet will join as mission specialists. This will be the third trip to space for Kimbrough and Hoshide, the second trip to space but first trip to the ISS for McArthur, and the second trip to the ISS for Pesquet. Like Crew 1, Crew 2 will be a long-duration mission scheduled to last 6 months. The launch of Crew 2 is currently targeted for spring of 2021. Reusability milestones. NASA already has plans to reuse the Crew 1 booster and DEMO-2 capsule for Crew 2. If SpaceX and NASA are able to pull this off, it would constitute a pretty significant reusability milestone. Dragon 2 is designed to be reused for up to 5 to 10 missions. According to a statement made by Shotwell, the DEMO-2 capsule is in pretty good shape. In a statement made by Steve Stitch, program manager for NASA's Commercial Crew program, he noted that Crew Dragon currently takes about 4 months for refurbishment, so there's a bit of buffer time to get the capsule ready for the spring. Conclusion. What an incredible moment in history for space exploration. As mentioned by Shotwell, the mission was incredibly smooth, and the capsule performed beautifully. With the mission now complete, NASA will review the data and proceed towards the certification of Crew Dragon.